What's up, guys? I'm randomfrankp, and we are already at that time of year again. We're going to be dropping top 5 gaming peripherals of the year, starting off today with top 5 gaming keyboards from 2020. Tomorrow we'll have gaming mice, Sunday gaming headsets. So obviously, I test a lot of keyboards on this channel. I review a lot, get a lot in. This is going to be my personal list of the top 5 from the year. Plus, we'll have a few runner-ups and honorable mentions. So if you see anything you like, I'll have it all listed for you in the description down below so you can check them all out. You know, good ideas for your wish list, send it to your family members. And also with Black Friday and Cyber Monday coming up as well, keep an eye on those links. There might be some pretty good deals, hopefully. So starting us off at number 5, we have the Corsair K100 RGB optical keyboard. This is an obvious follow-up from the K95 Platinum. Well, I'm sure a lot of you probably thought this was going to be higher on my list, or technically, I guess, lower if we're counting down. The fact is, there was just so many solid releases this year, and at $230, this probably is going to be out of most people's reasonable budget price point. But let's talk features and do a roundup of the board. First, we get the addition of their multifunctional dial that's new this year. You can use this for zooming in and out or scrolling web pages, windows, control the lighting effects, control the brightness here. Pretty much whatever you want this dial to be, you can program it in the software. We still have the 6 macro keys on the left side for gaming, editing, streaming, whatever. Macros are always clutch. And then even with the inclusion of that new dial, we still have dedicated multimedia keys. Then for some other physical features, is a brand new wrist rest this year. It is much better than their previous releases. Finally, Corsair has a standard bottom row for swapping keycap sets. That was always an annoying thing in the past. And on the back side, we have a USB pass-through and a strip of RGB lighting that runs along the back and along the sides. But the main goods here is going to come with their brand new optical switches known as OpX. They're a super quick linear switch that actuates at 1mm, and the K100 reports at a 4,000 Hz polling rate. So you factor that all together, and it really does feel lightning fast. Most keyboards out there are 1,000, so this is reporting 4 times quicker. And you'll definitely notice it if you've never used speed switches in the past. This is gonna be just an immediate difference. All right, so we'll do a sound test. You can hear these linear OpX switches. And what I'll do for each of these keyboards is we'll go through and do a roughly 30-second sound test. So again, you could hear how that particular switch sounds in that keyboard. So again, it's obviously explained in a bit more detail in my actual review of the K100 if you want to check it out. But the switches here just feel super smooth, and the spacebar and stabilizers are finally factory lubed, so they're going to pretty much lose all of that pinging and rattling from years past. I was definitely happy to see them address that, you know, in addition to all the other new features they added. But I'm also a fan of their new textured keycaps, which have this very simple font rather than that old like bold gamer font they used for how many years now. I think these look much better. And the only real reason this isn't, you know, rated higher on my list is the price, honestly. I don't care who you are, it's expensive at $230. But even with all that being said, I think in the end it's still a killer gaming keyboard, and it definitely deserved to be on this list of the top of 2020. So coming in at number 4 now is Razer's first release of a 60% keyboard, and this is the Razer Huntsman Mini, a nice 60% layout. And this is really great to see because A, it shows they're listening to community feedback, and B, the fact they're willing to push out a smaller board like this is great for the entire keyboard market so that hopefully more start to follow. So I do acknowledge that not everyone's gonna like a keyboard at this size and layout. And if you still, use a numpad, then yeah, this isn't gonna be for you. But the fact is, over the last year, these 60% have absolutely skyrocketed because it's gonna give you more desktop space with a much smaller footprint. And Razer went ahead and released this with their brand new, their new improved version of their red linear optomechanical switches. And why is that worth mentioning? Because again, I do have a more in-depth breakdown in my actual review on the channel, but these optical switches not only report to your PC much faster, but these in particular were just completely redesigned, and they had these embedded silicone dampeners into the actual switch, so it's gonna be quieter. And they also applied a dried lube to the spring in the switch, So that'll also cut down a lot of the pinging and stuff when you press down and bottom it out. Again, this all just shows they're actually listening to the community and the feedback. So at 60%, the Huntsman Mini comes in either black or white color options, either linear or the purple clicky optomechanical switches. So between that, you have 4 different versions. And I think just altogether, it's a really solid board. I did customize it here with a set of their own colored PBT keycaps, and I used one of my own custom cables because since the actual cable is removable and USB-C, you have that option now. You can really make it how you want it to look. But for this design overall, I think it's really clean, simple looking. Their textured PBT keycaps are still really high quality, and I love just the minimal font choice here. Looks nice, plus the inclusion of those optical switches, like I said, it all is a big thumbs up for me. This unit, like I said, houses the red linear switches, so here's a sound test now. So the Huntsman Mini comes in at $120 for the clicky option, and then $130 for their new linear switch option, so a $10 bump there. And while it's still, up in price for a 60% keyboard, it still surprised me overall that it's still pretty decent. It's not often a company comes out of the clear blue and just releases a brand new keyboard layout like this. And don't get me wrong, it does have their faults like everything else, but I just think it's a total package for those who are already in the Razer ecosystem. You love Razer, or you're somebody who wants to save as much desktop space as possible with the addition of these new fast optical switches, and this is definitely a worthy option. Next, we have the Durgod Venus at number 3. This honestly is a better version of the Razer Huntsman Mini. Like I said, that's for more people in the Razer ecosystem. This is the Huntsman Mini, but on steroids in all the best ways. So first off, let me just say this is gonna be for the more enthusiast consumer out there, because build and quality wise, this is outstanding. It weighs 750 grams with the all aluminum body and the steel switch plate, which again, for a 60% layout, that is pretty hefty for a small size, so you can feel the quality right away. Some features that stand out to me are the clean PBT keycaps with a standard bottom row, numerous built-in RGB lighting effects, so you really don't even need software if you don't want. They have lube stabilizers, a built-in dampening pad, and a plethora of switch types available to pick from. So let's back it up for a second because I just threw a lot of stuff at you. Back to the board itself. You get nice minimal bezels all around. Again, an all aluminum body. This does come in black or white color options, so you can pick between that. And my unit here has Gateron silent brown switches. So unlike the first 2 boards, those were linear, these switches are tactile. And I think having the choice between not only just, regular browns or silent browns is really awesome, but they give you the full selection between different offerings from cherry, Gateron, and kale switches. That is like completely unheard of. I've never seen a pre-built keyboard like this from anyone offer so many different types of switches. And going a step further, like I mentioned before, the Venus not only features the factory loop stabilizers, but the dampening pad underneath the plate and PCB to cut down on pinging and resonance when typing or gaming is something that every keyboard should have. I love dampening pads. It gives the board a much better feel because it's acting as a cushioning pad, again, while also cutting down on the harsh pinging sounds you hear in keyboards. So again, just to reiterate, these are tactile silent brown switches. So they're not gonna be as smooth sounding as the previous linear switches we showed off. But either way, we'll do a sound test now. So all of that thrown into the Durgod Venus here, and it comes in at $100, which is $20 cheaper than the Razer Huntsman Mini. And this has better build quality overall, I'd say. I think for me, it's hands down one of my favorites of the year, especially for a 60% layout. So it just absolutely had to be included in this list. I know Durgod's not your typical gaming brand, but it doesn't matter. They got a killer board here. Okay, so coming in at the number 2 spot, this keyboard has every right to be expensive, and we'll go through it all. This is the Mountain Everest Max. It is a fully hot swap, customizable, modular keyboard that really pulls off something special that no other keyboard has done in the past with these certain add-on pieces. That not only can you add them and take them off as you please, but you can put them on whatever side of the keyboard you want. So this keyboard was a pleasure right from the start. Even when it came to like their packaging and stuff, it's absolutely top notch with the sketches of the prototype and the drawer underneath for all the add-on modules. I know it's the last thing you care about, but when a company goes all out and even has great packaging like this, it really shows you their dedication. And this is just the beginning. But the big selling point with this is the add-on modules. They have the numpad with LCD screens and a media dock. So the option is completely yours to configure this keyboard however you want to use it. You can build it all up to its Everest Max version. Just use the media dock if you want to have a smaller, compact layout, or change up the sides. If you want to use this completely on the left side, if you're a lefty, you have complete freedom to change this, configure it however you want. And that's the overall beauty of a modular keyboard like this. You rarely ever see, additional modules on keyboards that are actually usable and actually give you, useful features, let alone the ability to put them on either side of the board. This is something special. So for a quick closer look at the modules themselves, the media dock has this nice tactile scroll and buttons to it. And this gives you the on-the-fly control of, going through different profiles, macros, built-in lighting effects, changing the brightness, volume. You can set it as a picture if you want, make it be a clock, show your PC info for like CPU usage. There's a lot of stuff built in here. Then for you numpad lovers out there, again, yes, you know what this is for with all those additional keys, but it's those 4 LCD screens up top. Those keys themselves can be programmed to be pretty much whatever you want, and you can switch up the icon on that screen to, launch programs, games, websites, anything. And this is what I've been asking from Corsair for about like 2 years now, because it's pretty much like a mini Stream Deck, but now built into this add-on module. And when it comes to switches underneath the keycaps, the keyboard itself is also hot swap, meaning you can pull these switches out of the PCB without needing to solder or desolder. Again, giving you just complete control to add literally whatever you want to this keyboard just to make it fit your style and your gaming or work habits. This unit has red switches, but like I said, you could swap them out. And the stabilizers here are lubed and clipped for better sound overall. So we'll do the sound test with the red switches. And then even at its core TKO layout, the Everest is still legit. The all black brushed aluminum finish on here looks really nice. It's also available in a gunmetal gray color as well. I think it's all just fantastic execution here. They really put a lot of time and attention into it, and that does not go unnoticed. Other features I didn't even really get to, because there's just so much else going on, is you get the USB pass-through on the backside, removable USB-C cable that terminates in just one output to your PC, while companies like Corsair and Razer require 2 USB ports. So like I said, they just nailed everything here. And I remember first seeing this Kickstarter and thinking to myself like, okay, this company looks cool, but they're shooting way too high. Then I checked out the prototype, and now this final unit once it released, and it exceeded my expectations in honestly every regard, and I do think it's one of the best gaming keyboards out there, because it's just so jam-packed with really cool and useful features. For the price, it can definitely get a bit up there with the different configurations. They sell the bare bones unit, which comes without modules, keycaps, or switches for $130. The core version, which is just the TKL layout without the modules, is $150. Then the Max Everest version, like I've been showing you, is $270. You get everything. Definitely a bit pricey, but I think for sure it's worth it. That price can definitely be justified for the overall quality of the product you're getting and just the ability to do pretty much whatever you want with the add-on modules. Everest really has something special here. Then coming in at number 1 for my top gaming keyboard of 2020, remember, don't close out yet. We still have some honorable mentions to go over. But that's gonna be the Hyperx Alloy Origins Core, specifically this model with their Aqua switches. Now, I've always been a fan personally of a TKL layout because you still have your essential keys, but it's still going to cut down the overall desktop space. For the construction here, it's this really nice all powder black aluminum frame with plate mounted switches so they are visible and exposed at an angle. But with the crystal switch shell and the matte frame to the board, I think it does a really good job of blending that RGB together, making it kind of appear brighter. Stock keycaps are ABS with a slighter, bold font choice to it. But again, with a keyboard that you're going to be using all the time, you can always just swap them out with a different set, which is why I went with a matching sort of aqua color to their switches. These are the forest green keycaps from Taihao. I think it just matches perfectly. And then taking it a step further, again, for making your keyboard just your very own, since this has a removable USB-C cable, you could swap it to a custom one you already have and just make it look banging. But to me, the main selling point with this keyboard, and honestly is what I think really sold it for me in the end, are their own aqua switches. These are technically tactile, but they are the smoothest tactile I've ever tried. And that's a big statement, okay? And it's really interesting. I love what they've done here. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how you can make a tactile switch so smooth without it being linear, but they pulled it off. They have a total travel distance of 3.8 millimeters and actuate at 1.8 millimeters with an 80 million keystroke lifespan. And I'll also note this keyboard is available in their HyperX red linear switches, as well as their HyperX blue clicky switches. But like I said, I think the real winner here are these aquas. What's also great to see is they aren't like overcharging for this. I think in fact it's the most affordable on this list at $90. If you want to compare this to its, again, the direct competitor, which would be the Razer Huntsman TKL, that was $130 when it launched last year. So you're saving $40 with this, and I think in the end it's a much better option, especially with these super smooth tactiles. Just hands down, love this. My only real gripe with the keyboard overall is the fact that the software for this, or Ingenuity, is a Microsoft Store exclusive, which is kind of annoying. I'm the kind of guy to download it, set it, and then forget it, So that's a very small con to this, but I think overall, for $90, it is a killer option out there. Love the TKL size, absolutely love their aqua switches, and this is the one that I just found myself coming back to the most and loving the most. So great stuff from HyperX there, my number one of 2020. But now, a few honorable mentions. First is the Logitech G915 TKL, a follow-up from their slim wireless mechanical keyboard from 2019, but I absolutely love this release. I feel like it kind of went under the radar, and I even contemplated putting this on my top 5 list, but what ultimately held me back in the end was the price. It is $230, and yeah, for a slim profile like this, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but it is still technically mechanical. It's wireless, definitely deserves to be mentioned for sure, and I really like the white variant here. It looks super clean. I was a big fan of this when I got it in, and honestly, it's one of my favorite keyboards of the year. Just didn't make the top 5 necessarily. Next is a pretty similar one with the brand new Fnatic Streak 65. I literally just reviewed this, last week or 2 weeks ago, and hands down, I loved it. But again, I do realize that these sort of slim profile mechanical keyboards aren't going to be for everybody. But with that said, what the Streak 65 gives you is still a nice compact form factor, but you still have the addition of that extra column and the addition of arrow keys embedded. The board has a really nice aluminum frame that does feel really solid for being so small still. And for switches, not only are they using factory lube stabilizers for a better feel, but these are their own Fnatic low profile speed orange switches, and they feel super quick as well with just a 1mm actuation point. Definitely worth checking out. I'm a huge fan of this board. And then the last honorable mention is one you may not be too familiar with, but ever since I got it in a few months ago, this has constantly been in the back of my mind, and I want to do something more to it. I want to customize it, make it really special. That's the Wormier K87, a hot swap TKL keyboard that's made entirely of acrylic. So the RGB here is just gonna be on a whole nother level. It's gonna look crazy when you have it all turned on and customized and blaring, looking cool. And again, with the option to obviously swap out switches with the hot swap PCB, that gives you that ability to really make this something unique. Also for price, it's just around $85, which is super appropriate for a keyboard like this. They're not overcharging, they're not underselling it either. Definitely still wanted to mention this. Probably not on a lot of people's radar, but it should be. This is awesome. I mean, like, come on. How could this not look cool? Might be kind of hard to see on here because of lighting, but it's super bright. So, guys, that'll wrap it up for this video of top 5 gaming keyboards of 2020. Hope you enjoyed, plus the honorable mentions. Like I said, if you want to check it out, add it to your holiday wish list, get some good Christmas ideas, all that good stuff. I'll have all the links listed for you in the description down below. And keep an eye on them for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Hopefully you can find some of them on sale, save you some money. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up to show your support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. And lastly, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day.